Hit 16, you've never seen a review like this. Weird old games you cannot tame, this world that you miss. SNES Man is the champion, he is 16-bit. SNES Man is the champion, he is 16-bit.
Hello, my name is SNES Man. Today we're going to finish the Super Star Wars Trilogy off with Super Return of the Jedi. Is it as good as the other games? Even better? Well, you'll have to stay tuned in to find out. At last, here we are at the last Super Nintendo Star Wars game, based on the excellent movie Return of the Jedi. Let's dive right in and get down to gaming. Okay, here's the first level, speeding around. I bet it's easy as pie. Let's see, oh wait, how do I fly? Wait, which button? B? No, ah! Just to throw off Mario fans like me, this game makes you jump with Y on the first level instead of B. It goes against my gamer nature. Oh well, this first level's really simple. It's just a Mode 7 dash to the finish. Jump over some pits, fly to the end, then it's over. Then we have a cutscene. As dawn approaches, Luke, Leia, and Chewie begin to who cares? Right off the bat, we have 3 characters to choose from, which is pretty impressive for a first level in a Star Wars game. I'll choose Luke. Here's our first real level. Luke looks different this time, he's more graphically detailed. The level, though, is not very impressive by Super Star Wars standards. The game gets off to a rocky start. Get it, rocky start? Yes, the scenery looks very rocky and dull, but also the level's kind of poorly designed. It's too big for its own good, and if you follow the stage like a linear level and go straight to the bottom, you'll just run into a dead end, which sucks. However, if you take the right path, the level's pretty quick and painless, and you'll reach the first boss, who's a serious pain to kill. I hate this thing. It's not that it's all powerful or anything, it just has a lot of health and it's really frustrating. That's why I usually switch characters at this part of the level. I pick my trusty ace in the hole. Wicket the Ewok? No! Chewbacca. Chewbacca's my go-to guy for killing bosses. His spin attack is just excellent in this game, and he never seems to run out of health. Die, robot! So that's our first level of Return of the Jedi. Luckily, after this, the game picks up and becomes a lot more fun. As you would guess, you go through all the events of the movies. There's Jabba's palace, the Rancor pit, the forest moon of Endor, and the Death Star. The levels are pretty fun and well detailed. Also, they're not as repetitive or dull as in the earlier games. True, there are some levels like the Rancor pit that repeat their scenery a lot, but compared to the earlier games, that's nothing. Sandcrawler, anyone? And Super Return of the Jedi has 2 things going for it that the other games didn't. First of all, better character design. Jedi is all about characters. Almost every level lets you choose between different characters, and this time around they're actually unique from each other. You actually get a chance to play a lot as Chewie this time around, and he's a powerful character with his spin attack. Han Solo now gets bombs right from the start without having to pick up power-ups. And Leia is a brand new character. She comes around in this game with a lot of different disguises and powers. Most notable of these costumes is the slave outfit with her whip. She's ridiculously strong when she's like this, and can unleash a charged power wave. Take that, you animatronic worm! Our main character, Luke, is pretty powerful though too. He's a lot more fun to play as in this game because the Force powers are handled well. There's a lot fewer of them than in Empire Strikes Back, but this time they all feel useful and they're not hard to use. Just press X and you'll bring on the pain. Also, he can press A to block attacks with his lightsaber. It's a pretty nice feature to have. Luke's a pretty powerful character, and obviously you'll be playing as him most of the time. But I forgot about one more character. Wicket the Ewok. Wicket, you suck. Who was asking for a level where you play as a teddy bear with a bow and arrow? It's really boring, and there's 2 of these levels where you just play as Wicket, and I think they really slow down the game's pace. Maybe it's just me, but these levels seem really boring. So let's get back to the positive about Return of the Jedi, because there's a lot that's positive about it. For instance, here's the second thing that makes it better than the other games in the series. Difficulty. Return of the Jedi has the most reasonable difficulty of all 3 games. It's certainly no cakewalk, but it's also not half as frustrating as the other 2. The stages are pretty well planned out, and your characters feel strong enough with their special attacks to take on most challenges. The bosses don't use too many cheap tactics. The unforgiving damage system isn't as frustrating this time around since lots of characters have tons of health. And the helpful password mode from the second game returns in this one. So overall, the difficulty's not that bad. Except for the game's finale, which is ridiculously hard. Now, killing the Emperor isn't too bad. Boom! But escaping from the Death Star is one of the hardest levels I've ever played. It's such crappy 3D technology that you can't tell where you're going. In fact, I haven't beaten this game just because of this level. I always give up here because it's so frustrating. It's too bad that such a good game has such a bad ending level. Things to make it better. Get rid of the awful final level. Simplify some of the maze levels that can get confusing. Remove Wicket. Change the damage system so that you flinch when you get attacked. And finally, make the first stage more fun and linear. It's just too confusing for a first level. Before I have my conclusion though and tell you my final opinion on Return of the Jedi, let's talk about the series as a whole, starting with Super Star Wars, based on A New Hope. The first game was pretty good, but it had some major flaws, like lame level design and poor jumping controls. So I gave it a 6 out of 10, fairly good. Next was Empire Strikes Back. This game took things up a notch, the graphics and controls were better, and there was a nice password mode. I gave it a 7 because it was better than the first. And the last game of the trilogy was Return of the Jedi. This one is probably the best in the series. It's a solid game all around, with a strong cast of characters that all feel different from each other, and a fun experience with good level design. I would wholeheartedly recommend this game for Star Wars fans and action fans in general. Return of the Jedi scores 8 out of 10. So that's Super Return of the Jedi, and we're done with the Super Star Wars trilogy now. Thanks for sticking with me through the long haul, and I hope you enjoyed it. Well, I'm gonna have to say I'll talk to you again sometime soon, but before I go, I'll leave you with a beautiful song. Oh, SNES man is the champion, and with him the force is very strong. He's the master of the SNES, and with him you can't go wrong. Yes, the controller is his saber, and his blaster is a super scope. He's the greatest gamer in the world, and his reviews spread joy and hope.